Hermès products are made in China. Towels are from Fuzhou in Shandong. They also make products for Chanel and IKEA. Beddings are from Yue in Shandong. Men's shoes are from Shachi in Shandong. Tableware are from Gaochun in Jiangsu.
Our artisans, they need to do 4 years of training to be able to manufacture a Kelly bag. This that you've just seen, the perlage, you need to be very skilled and very...
The whistle that shook the fashion world, Hermès, is spiraling. And not just over some knockoff scandal. This is bigger. Much bigger. The French luxury titan just launched a lawsuit against the very Chinese factories that helped create the illusion of its billion-dollar empire. Why? Because those same factories are now speaking out, blowing the lid off a carefully curated fantasy the world bought into for decades. This isn't about cheap copies or imitation bags. These were the actual manufacturers, the ones who handcrafted the Birkins and Kellys selling for up to $20,000 each. And now, they're revealing the dirty secrets hiding behind those pristine, made-in-France labels. What's coming to light is a tale of deception that spans borders, decades, and billions in profits. From shady shortcuts in production to leaked documents and viral TikToks that won't die down, the luxury dream is crumbling. Hermès is scrambling to cover its tracks, but the truth is out, and the internet isn't letting go. It all begins with a lie Hermès sold us, that every bag was a work of art, crafted by expert French hands in dreamy ateliers filled with jazz and leather. But guess what? That fantasy was just that. A fantasy.
First time shopping at Hermès, and let me tell you how it went.
We got a lot of requests, do Hermès next. And that's why we're here in the Highland Park Mall.
In Italy. Made in China. Or maybe made in Chile. Oh yeah, that should be a thing, by the way. Because some brands get real creative when it comes to made in.
80% of luxury lies. The truth isn't just slipping out. It's pouring out. And leading the charge is leather expert and YouTuber Tanner Leatherstein, whose investigations are shaking the foundations of Western luxury. His bombshell? Up to 80% of the so-called French-made Hermès bags aren't made in France at all. Not just a zipper or a handle. He's talking full construction. The leather cutting, the stitching, the threading, the assembly. All done overseas in China. Then Hermès steps in, adds a button or hot stamps the logo in France, and suddenly it's legally made in France. It's a loophole-turned luxury marketing strategy. One that has fooled millions into believing they were buying handcrafted European excellence. But now the receipts are surfacing, and they tell a completely different story. One that might cost Hermès its spotless image.
The finishing touches on a Kelly, the most difficult bag to build. It starts with 30 distinct cuts of leather and can take 20 hours to complete, 4 hours for just the handle. There are no manuals or cheat sheets. Artisans rely on their training and muscle memory to make every bag.
So Hermès has put out a response to China, and they have like a video in a factory sort of showing people trying to show that they're actually the ones who are making the bags in a factory somewhere in France.
Tanner Leatherstein versus the luxury elite. So when those Chinese manufacturers came forward, armed with proof and decades of partnership, Hermès panicked. But they weren't the only ones with receipts. Enter Tanner Leatherstein, the leather expert with a scalpel and zero tolerance for luxury BS. This isn't some clout-chasing TikToker. This is a legit craftsman with a following who's built his platform on ripping open expensive bags and showing you what's really inside. He's exposed Chanel for cutting corners with gold plating and Louis Vuitton for using mass-produced leathers. And yes, Hermès is on that list too. Tanner proved, with receipts and raw material analysis, that the same type of leather used in Hermès bags can be found in a $100 knockoff. Even more shocking, he broke down the real cost of a Birkin, roughly $600, including top-quality leather and hardware. So where's the other $13,000 going? Spoiler. It's not into craftsmanship.
It's over $100,000 of my own money dissecting luxury bags. Cutting them open, analyzing every stitch, every layer. Why? Because I had to know what made those bags so expensive.
Almost finished bags from China factories. Back to their own factories and just do the repackaging and logo installing. Something like that.
I spent $100,000 to find out the truth. Tanner didn't stop with one bag or one expose. He's invested over $100,000 of his own money dissecting luxury handbags, layer by layer, stitch by stitch, trying to understand why these bags cost more than a used car. And what he discovered was even more damning than anyone expected. The Chinese factories don't just make knockoffs. They produce finished products that are almost indistinguishable from the luxury bags you see on red carpets. In many cases, Hermès simply receives the nearly completed bags, stamps their logo on, repackages them, and sends them out to stores, ready to sell for $25,000 or more. The artistry Hermès brags about. The Parisian atelier fantasy? In many cases, it's marketing. A smoke screen. The real work, the real hands, the real leather shaping. It's happening in workshops thousands of miles away from France.
Chinese supply behind product. Bags are from Sitong Handbag in Dongguan City, Guangdong Province. It's a factory specializing in handbags for 54 years. And it produces 80% of the world luxury bags.
Making his boots in China. And that is these boots right here. This is pretty much the Ugg boot that like most Americans will have in their house. I was very pissed off when I found out the truth because I grew up in Southern California. I remember being in elementary school when I would only see 2 people in the entire school wearing Ugg boots, and they were always the cool surfer kid.
Made in China, sold as a fantasy. Now imagine Hermès watching this unfold in real time. Viral videos exposing their supply chain. TikTokers breaking down their margins. YouTubers showing how little it costs to make a $38,000 Birkin. And the kicker? These Chinese manufacturers weren't doing anything illegal. They were under contract, officially making bags for Hermès. These weren't fakes. These were the real deal. But the moment they went public with the truth, Hermès flipped the script. They took them to court, accusing them of IP theft and defamation. As if to say, how dare you tell the truth about our process? But here's where the story gets murky. Hermès made $15.2 billion in 2024. That's a whole lot of bags. If each one takes 2 days to make by hand, as they claim, where is this secret army of French artisans pumping out millions of units? The math just doesn't add up. And Hermès isn't alone. Chanel, Prada, Louis Vuitton, they're all doing it. Building most of the product in China or India, then doing one minor step in Europe so they can legally slap on that Made in Italy or Made in France tag. It's smoke and mirrors. And consumers? They've been buying into the illusion for decades.
Those bags I cut open, just expensive, nothing special. But a few truly exceptional.
It's humbling as your daughter drawing on your $60,000 Birkin, am I right?
Yeah. I couldn't even be mad at her because when I asked her, I was like, I wanted to see if she was going to tell me the truth. I was like, Coach, did you draw on mommy's purse?
Literally spent $60,000 on this purse. Look what my daughter did to my purse.
Where I keep all my purses. This one here is really special. If my house was on fire, I would take this one out of all of them.
The hidden empire behind the handbags, one of the largest factories implicated, is located in Sighton City, Guangdong Province, a leather goods manufacturing giant that's been in business for over 50 years. This one factory produces up to 80% of the world's high-end bags. Let that sink in. A single Chinese factory quietly crafting the goods sold in Paris boutiques, New York flagships, and influencer closets across the globe. Even UGG boots, the staple of American suburban winters, are made in these same facilities. And that's part of what's blowing people's minds. What we assumed was made in cozy, artisanal workshops in Europe was often made in the same room as mid-range mall brands. The quality isn't what makes it luxury. It's the branding, the story, the illusion. And when people find out their $1,000 boots are being made in the same place as a $5 factory version, with nearly identical materials, rage spreads fast. Because it's not just about leather anymore. It's about trust. The materials don't lie. Tanner didn't just stop at Hermès. He examined bags claiming to be full calfskin and discovered plastic-coated leather. Luxury bags filled with filler foam. Stitching so sloppy it wouldn't pass inspection at Walmart. Collectors are furious. New buyers are scared. And the internet? It's exploding with fury. Because if Hermès isn't really selling craftsmanship, then what are we paying for? A logo? A feeling? A lie? For years, Western luxury brands marketed anything made in China as less than. But the truth? Chinese manufacturers today are producing some of the finest leather goods in the world, often for both luxury brands and knockoffs alike. The only real difference? The tag stitched on at the end. One creator revealed that she bought UGG-style boots directly from the factory for $5. Same materials, same design, just no branding. That's the world we're living in now. The truth behind the label is starting to matter more than the label itself. The celebrity machine behind the scam Western media spent decades selling us the dream. Europe equals elegance, China equals cheap. But peel back the curtain, and it's all marketing. Clever, brutal, and extremely profitable. These heritage brands? Most are owned by private equity firms churning out overpriced goods to emotionally vulnerable consumers. And it's not just about the bags. It's about the people who wear them. Celebrities, influencers, fashion editors. Almost none of them actually buy their bags. They're given them for free, strategically placed like props in a billion-dollar ad campaign. When Cardi B posts a $60,000 Birkin, it's not because she's a fan, it's because the brand wants you to be. Same goes for Kylie Jenner's infamous Hermès closet tour. The internet drooled. But how many of those bags were paid for? And even if they were, how many were really made in France? Or were they stitched in Shenzhen and blessed in Paris? That's the question nobody wants to ask, because deep down, we already know the answer.